Deb Helfrich, hashtag Redhead is She-Hulk, and this is stage 2 of hashtag Occupy CMU. So we're approaching the end of July. I've been here since June 15th. I've had one substantive conversation that was created by a misdirection from the main operator number to a finance director in development who referred me to the sort of, wellness enthusiasm of the development team, who then interconnected me with the program director of wellness. I also want to mention, very crucially to my own heart and soul, that the outgoing dean of CFA, was encouraging to my work and interconnected me with a number of people, including the person in career services who can send out my need for a business manager to the MEME population, the management of entertainment, masters of entertainment industry management. There's the person I've been looking for. All right, well, we still got to deal with the fact that under a month there will be an influx on campus. My current strategy, while it works in, COVID absence, as people start filtering in, I'm going to be in a predicament. So what shall I do? Well, you don't fuss and fight and use your small left brain. That's going to create chaos. Because it just doesn't know. But your big creative right brain does something like this. This has been a fabulous day of my own sort of hashtag well-being philosophy, practical strategies for optimizing my bioelectricity, which extends my human potential. So far that, and in conjunction with a random external event of another dog that Zanzi was barking at, and so we lingered more over in the Warner Hall vicinity, as she really wanted to check her P-mail around the Walking to the Sky sculpture, which as she was doing so, I glanced across at Alumni House. And it's funny, they have railings that sort of look like the orange caution tape, of which shall I remind you of what it looks like. I just don't see how they're going to finish up everything they had to finish up. I don't know what all these projects are they doing, to be honest. It's that I want to bring life-centric thinking to the campus community so that the right proportion of money goes to life force experiencing challenges over maintaining stuff. I don't want to say that there's no reason to maintain stuff. That's crucial to keeping life force safe. But I bet if we look at the budget, so much more is invested in the buildings than in the well-being of the students. I know this to be a fact because the subsequent conversation I've had about wellness, and what's right there on the website is these people donate their services to the campus. There's one salary and some small honorariums. Wellness deserves more. No, I'm not saying go hog wild, but I'm saying here's what I like to do. So the landscaping equipment is off the charts toxic. Just the decibels of the things, the toxicity of the amount of carbon monoxide they generate, the byproducts of combustion, the destruction of the fabric of the ecosystem of all of the intense mechanistic stuff. I mean, I understand it takes quite a long time for the landscaper / gardener. I would call them landscapers, but one of the security personnel referred to them as gardeners. And it's like we've had this reverse thing of landscaping was sort of like the waste engineer, but it's kind of went full circle back to gardeners may be more exclusive, or it may have been a slight. I don't know. In my opinion, it's more gardening is an artisanal craft, or landscaping is an industrial process. That's what I'm trying to say. So here's the idea. There's all these really smart college kids. What if Carnegie Mellon was the place where somebody thought about the need for a Tesla of landscaping equipment? Electrically powered, or solar powered, or wind. I mean, it goes on and on. What about a patch or two of goat maintained grass? What about more bunnies? I don't know. The thing is, I got good questions to ask, and I'm looking for. The whole reason you haven't heard about how great my question asking is because I've just been so isolated from having people to converse with who can be present to helping me figure out how to do some of these things. And that's one of the main aspects for why I'm certain it is my destiny to become the wise, feminine she-Socrates of the 2020s. I don't like to do it all. So, separation of church and state, which really now needs to be separation of commerce from state. Yet, when it comes to innovating the future, what we need are people who don't have a financial fiduciary incentive to select easy to implement, low cost, high return on investment strategies. Where does that exist in the world? Philosophy went extinct. So one of the, ways that I like to fund my work, perhaps creating the hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy Institute at Carnegie Mellon to make life-centric thinking clear, anti-racist, life-centric thinking about human energy, potential, and well-being, a necessary global public good. I think there is an alumni out there willing to write that check for 7 figures off of spending 90 minutes talking to me. I wouldn't have went to development myself, but see, here's my beef. There are a dozen, maybe 2 dozen humans dedicated to getting income from financially successful alumni to benefit the university community. But there's not one person or even a thought of applying some of that money to actual living alumni who can evolve the world, or who are just simply about to die. Now, what if we took 1 to 3% of the current monies and built a fund to help out alumni in need? Any Carnegie Mellon alumni, or professor, or staff, or student can suffer catastrophic health consequences due to environmental conditions in our poison, toxic civilization beyond their control. Carnegie Mellon types are much more likely to try to solve all of those concomitant problems themselves, which may in fact be the expressway to being destitute or to an early death. We need communities, all of us, and I have only ever really experienced belonging during my student years at Carnegie Mellon. there were pockets of, colleagues and managers throughout my decades of work and my decade of hermitage. But just like rare sightings didn't add up to me having consistent companionship in my life. It's been Deb, me, myself, and I, and my 2 dogs. No, I'm not the only Carnegie Mellon associated human to have been all about the life of the mind, the life of computing, the life of achieving in the terms of this society. But I am the strongest to be like, the place where I solve my problems is a place of utter abundance, of a place that needs my sort of life-centric thinking, that will gain so much by being one of the epicenters of Socratic dialoguing, of being somewhere that can blend tech and humanism in extremely practical ways. I'm feeling, the quote is now all around that Andrew Carnegie said, "My heart is in the work." Well, Deb says, the human heart and soul is my work, making sure they're integrated in every aspect of our thinking about being human. We've got to stop letting the masters of scale and the ever skyrocketing returns on investment to harm human life force. And I'm telling you what, once we have just a little bit of a course correction here, which will probably be a blip compared to COVID, a blip in financial adjustments, the players of capitalism will start to experience enormous returns in really satisfying ways, like from doing good, like not just in meeting the market's expectations, but in actually doing good. Both can happen, but we need to learn about life-centric thinking. How I'm going to achieve this? Let me quick this up. There's a driveway. There's got to be some place where I could park the trooper at Alumni House. I never even drove through the fraternities. I had nothing to do with the fraternities. Now's a good time to explore, because that's also parking in a strategic locale. So somewhere over there, and I was like, let me just go talk to parking. Is this their purview? Am I going to piss them off? No. Then maybe I look up the fraternities and see which one is most aligned. I don't know. I think it's Alumni House. I think there's got to be, there's at least a drive-in and drop-off area of which I can take just one car size. So we'll be exploring that AM tomorrow. But maybe, now that I have the certainty of the next step, an entirely different positive outcome arrives from the universe. Arrives from, the not the universe in your woo-woo, let me not, but in like the vast possibilities of all of these other actors with agency that I can't even imagine. That I might now just be like able to change my approach just ever so slightly to achieve everything I want, which is, again, simply to be the philosopher in residence at Carnegie Mellon for 1 to 3 years. I want a salary and some slush fundy things. To create symposiums, to become the Randy Pausch of staying alive. It's a great pivot, a great continuation of his legacy. A real tribute, in some senses, that, as inspiring as his attitude toward death was, there can also be a Carnegie Mellon alum and associate who used those skills to discover new pathways to building a world where she has something to say about cancer, using the philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity, which is a unifying theory of human energy, potential, and well-being. I just want to talk to somebody about pivoting 1 to 3% of the development efforts, or creating a brand new development effort to get rich, successful financial alumni to go ahead and worry about living human life force. This has been Deb Helfrich. The dog is barking. Harmony.